What's up, guys and girls? Welcome to episode number 13 of the Better with Brock podcast. I have a good friend of mine, a client of mine, Nicholas, on. And as opposed to kind of starting how we normally would, we were just talking before we jumped on, and he was talking about some really cool stuff. So I'd love him to just kind of start with this story. First of all, you can introduce yourself if you want to. But I'd love to go from like where you were, what your teacher said about the knees, and then kind of just like I had to stop him because I was like, man, we need to record this. Like, you're spitting too much good stuff. We need to actually hit the record button, or else we'll do a whole podcast before we start. So, yeah, just introduce yourself and then take off with that story.
Sure. Yeah. Hey, my name is Nick. Been a client with Brock for over a year. Right? I think it's been over a year.
Yeah, it has.
What was I saying? I was talking about how I've been trained in dance, and there was a dance teacher I had in college.
You used to dance at Disneyland?
Yeah, I used to dance at Disneyland. And that's, I think, kind of was something that was always a frustrating thing, just kind of performing there. Just sometimes I felt like the level of performing that we were doing, I felt like wasn't matched with our pay and whatnot. And I was, we're putting our bodies through all this crazy stuff. And, it's, I think that's another reason why I'm like, I try not to take for granted what my body can do for me. And I think, again, what I was saying is like, I think we so often take for granted what our bodies do, just like breathing wise, it's like, we go to sleep and we're able to just sleep and not choke to death because our body's keeping us alive in a weird scientific way. But I was you want to talk about like the knee thing that I was saying, or
I like that story.
Dance teach.
And also just to jump in, like I was saying before, I used to hang out with a lot of dancers when I was into singing. And like dancing looks easy. And then I've done a few beginners classes, man. It's the worst, man. I was like, I look like, especially when you go to the gym and you look and you're a bit stiff, like you stand out so bad. Like everyone looks like a wave.
They're
like
so
water,
fluid.
and like me in the back, like this gym guy, like walking around like it's a bad look. But like you guys train so hard, like you learn choreography for hours and hours and hours. And I was saying like before, like it's almost like singing. Like if you don't crack it, if you don't make it, if you don't become a star, you're often not compensated very well, and it's a struggle financially. Like that's like absolutely, like to be honest, one of the main reasons I jumped out of singing was like I committed a lot of my youth into that, like from like 14 to like 20, 21, I was like fully into music. And like New Zealand's hard and it's small, and you try your best, you try songwrite, you try and meet with as many people as you can. But like if you don't make it, like you're singing at pubs for like little money,
right.
You're staying up late, you're like doing all this stuff, like knocking on doors, trying to get a meeting with someone, or trying to write with the producer and stuff like that. And if it doesn't go big, or if they don't believe in you, it's like a waste of time. Like it's a real battle. And like for dancers, it's like, and there's a ticking time bomb. Like, you can't dance forever.
Especially for dancers. Yeah.
Like, it's definitely you can't dance forever.
No. I know that's the thing. I think you have to love it so much that you're just willing to go through anything for it, and know that you may or may not ever be successful financially. You
have to be cool with it.
You have to be cool with it. You have to. I mean, it doesn't mean that you should just give up on it. You could still love to do it. You could still pursue it, but maybe not in a way of making the big bucks, or as your main way of income.
Yeah, well, that's that fine line of like, do you like back yourself and go all in, which is what I did, and it didn't really pay off music wise. Like, okay, I did a few cool things, but it's not like I was bringing home a lot of bread, and like you have to make that decision. But then again, it's like, well, would you rather be happy earning whatever that
Right.
isn't as much as you would like, but doing the thing that you love and waking up excited? Or would you rather do something else, try squeeze it on the side, or just forget about it, make more cash, but be
Right.
dragging yourself through life? And I've seen people on both sides of the spectrum. And to be honest with you, you'd rather be that person that isn't earning as much, that's just like loving life. Like you're so excited,
Right.
like they're so exciting to be around. They're excited about projects. They're always like opportunistic. And then there's the people that like, you know, because then you carry around regret. You know, you have more money, but you know, so what? Like if you're just kind of dragging yourself through. But
Right.
yeah. Before I kind of keep talking, tell us that story about kissing your knees. I liked it.
Yeah, so I had this modern dance teacher, and we'd warm up before every class, and we'd, you know, kind of go in, we'd tuck our knees in, and she would have us kiss each one of our knees and just kind of say thank you to them for just keeping us moving and keeping us from collapsing and everything. So I always try to keep that in mind if when I'm exercising, or, you know, if it just ever pops up, you know, if I even like feel like a little pain in my knee, I'll just kind of go down and be like, thank you, I appreciate it. Please don't collapse on me right now. You know, like I appreciate not needing, you know, like knee surgery, and, you know, knock on wood, I ever have to. But yeah, and just going off that, it's like what I was saying earlier, just I think we so often take for granted how our bodies move and whatnot, and that our bodies can move. And, you know, I think that I try to keep that in mind whenever, you know, it's hard for me to either get up in the morning or get to the gym or, you know, whatnot. Is like, you know, sometimes I think we have the mentality of like, oh, I have to go to the gym right now, or I have to, you know, get these 10,000 steps in or whatever. And it's sometimes just like, wait, no, it's like, I get to do this because I'm able to do this. And some people aren't able to do this. And what would it be like if I was this person that, you know, wasn't able to, you know, move my body the way that I can? And I don't know why I'm getting a little emotional about that, but I'm just thinking about it. I think just thinking about it, it's like, you know, I think I'm just grateful for that. You know, I'm grateful for being able to do these things that we so often take for granted.
1000%, man. And I think if we all like gratitude is where it all starts. I think
yes,
like if we all had that, I think if we all had that understanding of like, I'm so grateful for what my body can do and what it's doing on a daily basis without me even acknowledging it, I think we would all be in the gym, or we would all be doing stuff that benefits our body. We would be eating better. We would be living better. We would be, you know, taking advantage of what our body can do, as opposed to like pulling it through the ringer and just kind of smashing it. Like it's such a rare thing. And then like, it blows my mind sometimes because I'm a personal trainer. I'm so, oh man, like everyone's into fitness. It's so rare. It's so rare. Is. Like not to throw anyone under the bus that I saw on holiday at the Maldives, but like when I was away, like the gym was like absolutely empty. And I know like if you're in the Maldives, you're not there to
you're not going there to go work out.
Like you're not going there to become Mr. Olympia. But when you're like no one really looked, and this is just from the outside, obviously, you know, you can be healthy within, but like no one was really looked like they looked after themselves, you know. Like it's such a rare thing. But I think if we had that understanding of like what we have and what our body can do, like we want to make that happen for as long as possible. Like so many people just ignore it. And it's crazy to me, like and especially with like my parents or like people that age, like that's when you pay the price. Like you don't pay the price now, like as a young person, like, you know, we're young, we're still able to do whatever, like we're still training, we're still, you know, being active, we're still doing our work. And if it requires us to do physical things, we can do it. But then there's people in like my dad's age bracket where like their physicality limits them, like joint pain, lack of muscle, like fragility, like if you're fragile and you can't do things, like that's when it starts to pay off. And like,
Yep.
I mean, like where you pay the price, not pay off. Like that's where you pay the price when you're older. Like the work that we're doing now, because we have that level of gratitude to be like, we need to look after this because it's not a forever or guaranteed thing. Like you have to look after yourself now. If you want like a better future, and it's such a hard sell. Like, how can you sell that to someone as a personal trainer? Like, oh, you know, like think about it in 20 years time, you'll be so healthy. Like everyone's like, come on, I'll just deal with them when I'm there. But when you're there, it's often too late.
It is too late. Yeah, I mean, and I would definitely absolutely back up, you know, what they say is like health is wealth. And it really is. And and then you made me think about my dad, and I have my dad and my mom, and my mom has been like a runner and she's been like going to the gym forever. And then I have my dad who just like hates broccoli and they're very different people. And just doesn't really, I think probably the most active he was when I was growing up. He was pretty much just, you know, he loved golfing, and that's great. It's a great form of exercise. You know, you get your steps in, you know, but he kind of waited until he was a lot older to, you know, go to the gym and whatnot, and didn't invest in his health as much as he probably should have in the beginning. I mean, I think that's something that's just something that we don't realize how valid it is, or how important it is until way later in our lives, you know. And I think that's another thing. I see so many commercials of people with, you know, of like not people of like, let's see, like it's like either losing weight or it's like certain diabetes or whatever, and I always pay attention on like who it's targeting, and it's always targeting older people. You know, it's not targeting younger people because
we're not paying the price yet.
Right. Yeah, exactly. We're not paying the price yet, but we're paying the price at this age because we didn't invest in our health and fitness earlier. And going,
Well, I think also like back in the day, they didn't even really know what gym was.
That's true.
Like, actually, it's funny. Like,
only Olympians did.
Yeah, but like my dad, like I think he has a brief understanding of what I do for work, but he still can't really wrap his head around it. I'm like an online personal trainer, but like my dad can, like he's getting better at his phone, but he's pretty hopeless, like in terms of like being able to operate it. But like if you show him and stuff, like he's all good. He can do a Facebook Messenger call now, so he's always on the video call, which is awesome. But other than that, he can't really do much. So like when I say like I try to explain, like I put programs in people's phones and then they follow and do that in the gym. He's like, oh, okay, but like it's still such a foreign concept.
You can tell it kind of gets it, kind of
it's a bit of a gray area. Like first of all, like personal trainer, he kind of gets, but in that era, no one really went to the gym because it was all like physical labor work. So they would just labor, and that was their physicality, or they played a sport. But it was never really gym or like health, and like diets weren't really a thing. It was just like you just eat what you had, or you eat what was available to you. So like I don't blame them, you know, that they kind of end up in this position where they kind of don't have this knowledge of what nutrition is, or what calories are, or what training is, or how important it is. Like my dad just signed up to a gym last week, which is like amazing. Wow. Like I've been like, you know, you want the best for your parents. I've been on his back, like, you know, like alcohol or eat this, you know, it's going to be better. Not trying to force him into anything, but just trying to make him aware of it. And he finally signed up to a gym, and he had a personal training session with this other guy. Because if I tried to sign him up or just like, you know, put him on the app that, you know, that we use, it was like, he would just get overwhelmed.
Well, have you ever, sorry, just really quick. Have you ever like tried to, or have you ever like helped, like, trained him ever? Like
never
to just like got like into never. The gym
Dad's
with him
never
like, hey.
No, Dad's never been interested in the gym. But as soon as he met like his granddaughter, Aria, my brother's daughter, his whole life's like changed. He's like, man, I need to look after myself. Like I've got a granddaughter to be around for, which is so beautiful, such a beautiful reason. So now he's like, you know, I want to be healthy and I want to be around for her and stuff. So he's into it now, but he's never been into it. Like he came over for our wedding recently, And I was like, oh, Dad, we're going to go to the gym. Do you want to come? But he was like, oh, no, not really. I'll just do it when I get back. So I was like, okay, that's cool. I'm not going to be like, oh, you know, you have to train. But he's finally getting into it. But even my dad, he's like a pretty solid dude. Like he doesn't gym, but he's like, you know, like there's just dudes that are kind of like solid. Like you're just like, oh, he's solid. But even he was saying he was doing bench press with the bar and he was like shaking. He said that, like he was trying to do reps and he was like all over the place and he like couldn't control it. I was like, you know, like he's just getting into it, but it's so new to them. Like even trying to explain to dad like calories, a calorie deficit, like it's so hard to explain. So what I did with my dad is just give him recipes and then he would just eat them. And then he ended up losing weight because he was just cooking more. You know, I wasn't trying to say, you know, this is 300 calories. And if you do this, and then if you get 10,000 steps, all that kind of stuff, it was just too over his head. And I just kind of made him where he was
a
at.
lot. Yeah.
And I just gave him recipes and it worked. So sometimes it kind of just depends who's in front of you. But for them, like it just wasn't around fitness or gym. Like it's so like, you think now for people, like there's almost no excuse. Like we're so aware, like there's so many people talking about fitness. There's so many gyms everywhere and most people are aware, even calorie wise, people are aware of foods that are better or worse. Like,
I mean, they're aware. It's also just, they don't choose always the best option.
You know what I mean? But that's where it comes down to that gratitude thing that I was talking about before. Like if they understood like how lucky we are to have a body that works wholeheartedly and does everything that we want it, like you should try and look after it for as long as possible.
Yes, I agree.
So with our transformation, obviously, you know, as you said, we've been working together for well over a year. Like, and you're a busy dude, like you're working, and we were talking before, like you have a side gig that you do and you have a very active social life.
Yes.
What do you do? Like talking about being aware of calories, and obviously you're in Team Brock Ashby, so you have this big understanding of like kind of education, but how do you stay consistent when you like live such a busy lifestyle? Because that's one thing that people really struggle with. And I struggle with too when I'm super busy. Like I have a pretty scheduled life. Like I like routine. I'm at home so I can make the meals I want, but like you're out and about. How do you, how do you stay consistent? Like what are some things that you have that keep you on a roll?
I would definitely say it's the easiest for me to be consistent is definitely like my work week or like Monday through Friday. It's just, that's when I can find the best routine. And I'm so against routine and I've been trying to, you know, just get better with it, you know? So, I think what has helped me is just kind of trying to plan accordingly. So just, and we usually without fail, I'll always have like, you know, yogurt for lunch. And that's something that I have learned from you is just like, it's just a solid way to get your protein in. And what I love, I don't know, I've eaten a lot and but I love that there's so many different ways to add different things. I love it so much that I like want to make like a store, like a yogurt store that, you know, you just sell Greek yogurt and you just have all these different toppings, kind of like an ice cream store. It's probably not going to be as popular as an ice cream store.
But people will be like, is that gelato
or? No, it's just actually plain Greek yogurt.
Like,
you just walk right back out.
Yeah. Do you know where Ben and Jerry's is?
No, but there's a lot of protein in this and it's good.
Are you grateful for your body? Are you grateful? If you're grateful, you'll stay. You're not serious about your goals. Yeah.
Get the hell out of here. So I mean, I think that's the main thing is it's like, I think just trying to really just be just have this, just remember my goals, you know, where I want to go and where I want my body to be. And you kind of have to, I'm learning that I really have to prioritize, you know, what I want for myself. And sometimes that means like, I'm sorry, I can't go out right now because I need to prioritize my sleep. and that's something that I'm also very against. Like, I mean, I'm not against sleeping, but I love, having a social life. I'm a very extroverted person. I like, doing stuff with people and whatnot. And that's something that I'm learning. Like, at least when I'm in a program like yours that we're doing right now, it's like, I think, okay, well, this is an 8-week program. I could do this for 8 weeks. It doesn't mean I'm doing this for an entire year. I can't, I can stick to this. You need to I just need to prioritize what I really want. And know that it's valuable, it's
so with that thing, so you have your body, what you want to say look like, or what you want to feel like, or how strong you want to be. So you have that goal, and you're aware of, say, things like protein, like you're having your yoga bowl instead of having something else, like you're very aware of it. So you have that, like you're aware that you need your protein intake, you're aware of what you want to achieve with your body transformation. But with that going out, like lifestyle, you said you kind of like sometimes have to say no because you want to get a good sleep because you train early in the morning. I know that from you. You wake up at 4:30. Well, you've been trialing it recently, and you've been going to the gym at like 5 a.m., 5:30 a.m. So what else do you do throughout the day, or like on a weekly basis, like in your routine, to try and like stay on it, like when you're out, like snack wise or like training wise? Like I know that you like, because you're out and about, you're like, and you want to see your friends, and then after you're up early, and you're off to the gym at like 5 a.m. So it's done.
Definitely Monday through Friday. I mean, I'm definitely not doing anything outside of that. I mean, maybe like on Thursday nights I would go out and whatnot, but I've taken a break from that. And, even say I was to go out with friends just for dinner or whatever, it's definitely I'm more likely to say yes to like having like a couple of drinks, or, okay, I'll have like some dessert or whatnot. So, it's about, maybe what I'll do is I'll eat before I go out with them, so I'm full, so I don't say yes to having that bowl of mac and cheese that will make me go over my calories and whatnot. One other thing that I do is I try to, sweets is just like a killer for me. So like once I have like one Oreo, like that whole Oreo, like that whole package is going to be gone in like matters of like a day or two. Like I can't. So, I think that's something that you brought it up a couple of days ago. Like if one of your weaknesses is sweets, like just don't have them around. And, that's what I'm trying to do. But another thing that really helps me is like there's these new like protein, I don't know if you guys have Pop-Tarts, but they're
we have Pop-Tarts, but I don't know if we have these protein ones.
Oh my God. So they're like addicting, and like I can't stop eating them, but like that is like a good substitute because they're low in sugar. I think they might be even zero sugar. I think they're like keto friendly because they're made with erythritol. But they're like 20 grams of protein and 170 to 180 calories. And they come in all different flavors, and they're just like the best. So
finding substitutes for your sweet tooth is a good one. Right. For you.
So like, so like if I want like Snickers, I'm not gonna have a Snickers. I'll have like maybe a protein bar that has like chocolate in it and stuff. So I can have my chocolate and I can have my protein, at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to do it. Like even though in the back of my mind there's like this voice that's like, you can eat whatever you want.
Right.
Like, you can have the real Snickers if you want, but sometimes you're just like, I want something similar, but I just don't want that because then that's going to mean I'm going to have to sacrifice elsewhere. Like, for example, like I know that every night I could have some Ben and Jerry's, but sometimes when I'm like trying to be more mindful, or if I just want a bigger volume of ice cream, because I'll stay on the topic of ice cream because I like ice cream. With like, sometimes I'll get this Peter's, it's like low sugar Peter's ice cream, and just get vanilla, but there's also like this chocolate ripple one or raspberry ripple or something. There's like 2 other flavors. I'll get them because I know I can have more of it, as opposed to Ben and Jerry's, which is like, if I eat the whole tub, it's like, I think it's like 1,000 calories or something, or maybe even more.
I believe that. Probably more.
Yeah, probably more. Like you can eat quite like, and I could eat it if I wanted to, But then there's sometimes where I'm like, but I want more volume, or this time, like if I have this lower sugar, then I could have a bigger dinner type of thing. So like,
Yeah.
and like, that's the beauty of flexible dieting. And I always say, it's not about squeezing as much junk food into your diet. It's about doing what works for you. If you want to have Ben and Jerry's, you could have Ben and Jerry's. But if you wanted to have like a low fat, low carb, high protein ice cream that's at the grocery store, you could still have that as well. It's not limited to healthy food and junk food. Like you could have in between food as well. It's just, it just
Halo
really,
Top is amazing.
Halo Top. Yeah, I like Halo Top. I like the chocolate chip cookie dough one. That's my jam.
Yeah, I'll have to try that one.
Yeah, what's your favorite flavor
good
on that one?
I would say as of right now, I think just plain old chocolate, actually.
Has it got bits in it though? Because I love the bits in it. Like if there's no bits in it, bits. I'm not. Yeah, you have to have the bits. You have to have the bits. That's why I like the chocolate chip cookie dough one, because you can have, you bite on the cookie dough.
All right, I'll try that next time. But yeah, I love that you could have like a whole pint of that, and it's 330 calories and 22 grams of protein or something like that. It's
like as opposed to a quarter tub of Ben and Jerry's. That
has like maybe 0.5
it's just
grams
all carbohydrates.
of protein.
Protein negligent, like does not exist.
It's like -5.
Yeah. So how are you finding the early morning workouts? Because like I've shared this with you, like my opinion with early morning workouts. I've tried it before. I remember when I first moved to Sydney, I used to wake up at around 5:30 or 5 or 6. I can't really remember. But I used to just wake up and like I was still into fat burners and stuff back then. Like this was maybe like 6 or 7 years ago. I was like, I want to be shredded. So I like popped this thing. It was called, I can't remember what it was called. Maybe it was Hydroxycut. No, that was a pill. It was something. It was kind of similar to like an Oxy Shred or like a fat burner, like that.
Yeah.
Supplement companies would market to you, and I fell for it, obviously. And I'd like have it in the morning, and I was like, yeah, caffeine. And I'd go to the gym, and then I'd like do like 30 minutes on the Stairmaster, and then I'd train. And I'd train out of pure determination, but I know that I wasn't as strong as I could be. And it never really worked for me physiologically. Like I would push through, but I was always battling.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid of a battle for a workout. So that's why I was saying, like, I committed to it for a while.
Yeah.
The early morning workouts. And like, it was still dark when I was training, you just go in and do it. But now that I train later in the day, which I've found out only through experience, which is what works for me and my schedule as well. Don't forget that. But I feel much better training in the afternoon. And I could train early in the morning, but I know that I'm never really going to lift heavier weights than I did previously, because I'm always just a bit lethargic and I need, a bit of food behind me when I'm training. How are you finding training in the morning?
I mean, as of now, I love it. I mean, my goal has always been to be there at 5 a.m. And as of now, I've been doing it for almost 2 weeks. At 5 a.m. And it's hard because I definitely have to go to bed earlier. I just can't just like stay up till 11 and then wake up at 4:30, and like that won't work for me. But what I love, and I don't normally eat anything before it. I guess I just like, I have a lot of energy in the morning. I could be.
I think you're an energetic person too, though. Like you're a very energetic dude.
I would say that. I would say that I find, even if I have like 5 or 6 hours of energy, once I get into the gym and I get moving, it starts, everything starts working and my engines start going, and it's like, I'm good. So I would say that I love it mainly because I feel so accomplished at, 6:30 in the morning. I've already done this workout, and now I have the whole day ahead of me, whole day to just fit in all this other stuff. I mean, mostly it's work, but I think I prefer to do it all before work because I have now this feeling of productivity. I'm ready to start. It's like just a great way to start my day. It's like a, good cup of coffee, just a way to start your day.
That's one thing that I really enjoyed about training in the morning, probably more so from a psychological point of view than like physiologically what my body was telling me. Like I
Right.
love the idea of training and then not having to do anything later on. Like, because I was saying before on the live coaching call for Built by Brock that like sometimes the workout hangs over you. You're like you're working
Yes.
or you're with friends and all that, and like not that it's a stressor, but you're like, oh, I still need to get in my workout. So I'll probably have to leave my friend an hour early because I need to go to the gym, or I'll probably have to. I probably can't make that call or do that email because I got to go to work. Like, or else if you don't do it, you just miss your workout. So like that's one thing
that's my main thing is I think that's so much more can happen either after work or during work that could, it'll just either drag on and either I'll have to miss my workout. I think I'm more likely to miss it if I don't get it in right in the morning. And there's also times where I'm just gassed after work. I'm like, oh God, now I have to go to the gym and I have to like really like lift these weights and like, and I've done it before. I've had to. And then there's been also times where I'm like, oh, okay, that was actually a lot better than I thought. But I also just dread getting to the gym and it's just packed of everyone else who's here after work because they wanted to get their workout, in after. And now I'm fighting for all these machines and all these weights and my workout's taking even longer. When I get there right at 5 a.m., it's right when it opens. There's all these weights, all these things available. So it's kind of like the lesser of two evils, I guess, in a way, because I, now have the freedom I could just run around that whole gym and get this workout.
Superset everything.
Yes. Just do it all.
Yeah, I think that's the trade-off, and that's all it is, like in life, like with every decision that we make really, but like when we're training and we're looking at when we train or how often we need to train and stuff like that, it's just like what works for you. And obviously this is working for you now. Like if my schedule was like so crazy from 7 a.m. till 7 p.m., I couldn't do anything. Like I would get up at 5, train till 6:30, get back, get ready to shower, and then go from 7, like it's just like what works. And we were also talking about this in the live coaching call as well, that like, if you have kids, that's like a whole different story. Or you have a family, like you have babies crying, and you operate often on their schedule when they wake up, when they need to sleep, when they need to eat, when they need to snack. Like, it's just like trade-off. Like I have a brother, I have friends going through their babies growing up, they're like 1 or like just turned 1 or getting close to 1. And it's hard for the parents to train. Like it takes discipline.
Yeah. My sister, actually, she just gave birth in January and,
congrats.
Thank you. Yeah.
Uncle Nick.
I'm excited. It's crazy. She's the cutest thing ever. But yeah, we share each other's activity on our watches, and they just I saw that they just started. Yeah, so I just saw that they started working. They just started working out again and everything. But I just think about them. I'm just like, wow, how do you make it work? Because
how's she managing it at the moment?
I don't know. I think they take shifts because she's on maternity leave. She's there, and because he works out, I think, closer to when I work out, because usually when I'm ending my workout, he's eventually ending his workout. And then I know that she ends her. I think she's not as like she's. I think she works out whenever she can. She's.
I don't think as a with a newborn. I'm just gonna go now. Like you go to sleep, okay, and you stay asleep.
Yeah, I'll be right back. It's like she doesn't. She just kind of. She's at the mercy of the baby. But I commend anyone who can do that, because I don't know. I think I don't know how I would be able to fit that in, I don't know. I tell myself when I become a dad, if I become a dad, I will make sure that I will, work out, not every day, but I'll not gonna let myself go.
Fight. Yeah, I think that taking shifts is like a strategy that I've seen that's worked, and it's like the only way that would work. Like, and I've been thinking about it too, because like I'm like, well, that's going to happen in my life soon. You know, like all my friends are doing it. Your friends get married, and then you get married, and your friends start having kids, and then you have kids. Like I was thinking, maybe I'll just make like a little pen for him or her to be in while I just lift and like set up a gym at home somewhere and just put them in this little area, and I'll play with them in the rest periods, do my squats, whatever, and then go back and like hang out with them. I was like, man, I think that's like what I'm like, I'm gonna have to do something like there.
It'll probably be something just like that.
Yeah, that's something I've thought about a lot.
Your life completely changes when you have kids. I mean, I'm not definitely talking about from personal experience, but I mean, I could just only imagine just from then on, it's like your life is like different, way different, you know, a whole different way of doing everything.
So coming back to your transformation, and like, you know, it's actually nice to hear how you stay consistent out and about, because it's tricky, you know, and like
it hasn't always been easy.
Yeah. Okay.
I would say.
Because I've trained a lot of people, especially face to face. When I was a trainer in Market Street in the heart of Sydney CBD, I would train a lot of busy professionals, you know, that are out just like with a schedule of yours. You know, you're working all day, you know, you're doing what you need to do. But then another thing that they would have to do was like go out and try and schmooze their clients and take them for dinners and take them for alcohol, and take them partying, and you know, and do what they need to do to you know, like win over their clients or just create great relationships with people. And that is something that they always struggled with. And like I would often, you know, do like like I'd be like, the restaurant you're going to, or like I said to my one client who like he was a director of the business, and his role was just hanging out with clients all day, because he was so good with people. He was like a cool dude. He was like super charismatic. Everyone loved him. And, you know, he was like the life of the party. So the directors were like, hey man, your skills, you just talk and hang out and just like be everyone's like mate, like win the deals, whatever. So you're just like the face. And then the other directors were like the nerds in the background, like checking finance reports and, you know, making sure all the numbers are legit and stuff. But
that sounds like a fun job to be.
Yeah. Oh man, he had I was like, are you working? Like, he's just like walking around in a suit. Like, I'm like, what are you doing after this? He's like, going for lunch. And I was like, so what about after that? He's like, I'm going for dinner. I was like, you serious?
Yeah, and then going to a club after that.
Yeah, no, exactly. That was his life. He was like a superstar, like when he got there, because, you know, he had the company credit card. He was going out, you know, like clients and stuff. But he was also like, it looked like he was just having fun, but he was also really good because he was also winning clients over and like, you know, having great relationships and getting referrals and, you know, all that kind of stuff. But it was just like so natural about it. And like, I went out with him a few times because I was his personal trainer. He was like, oh, I want you to meet my mate. And I started training his mates and stuff like that. So he was like really cool like that. And I saw him out there hanging out with people. He doesn't look like he's working. Like, he's not stressed at all. He's just like, that's just what he did. But what I did for him was like, I said, like, send me all the names of your restaurants. He sent them back. And because his goal was weight loss.
Right.
And I was like, have this. So I literally created him a list of like, when he went here, he'd eat this. When he went here, he'd eat this. And like, that's the like lengths I'd had to go to try and save this guy. Cause I also like, his clients are drinking, so he would drink too.
Well, that's, you know? That's the
like,
thing.
It's hard, but like there
you
has
feel
to be
pressured.
Yeah.
You feel pressured because especially when you go with friends and they're all ordering drinks and you're just like, oh no, thanks. And then sometimes they'll give you this look like you're an alien, like, you're not gonna have anything, like, and you don't even say anything, but then it's like it could be so easy to just give in and say, you know what, I'll have a double margarita, or, you know, I'll have and then I'll get a dessert as well. You know, it's so easy to do that in that setting.
But yeah, it has to be a trade-off, you know, like, and that's the thing that I was trying to explain to my client, because he's used to having anything and everything, you know what I mean? Like, he's a director, he was cashed up, he was doing everything he needed. And I was like, you can't have that and that if you want this, you know? And like for him, he's like, but I get everything. like, what do you mean? I was like, but like, you can't, like, you need to, you know, I was trying to educate in calorie deficit and all this stuff, but he kind of didn't want to worry about it. So that's, I said, well, then just eat this and eat this. But then the challenge was always like the party lifestyle as well. Like, it's just a challenge, you know, like.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's, I do think about that sometimes when I'm not like criticizing people at the gym, but I do look at people when they're lifting and stuff, and sometimes I wonder what are you eating, or what are, because they do seem to be working out, but it also seems like they don't eat the right things, if that makes sense. And I feel like sometimes we also think like we don't understand how calorie deficits work. And I didn't really understand how they worked until I met you. And I was like, oh, so I just need to eat a little bit less, maybe a lot less, and then and in addition add this physical activity and whatnot, and you'll lose fat. That's something that kind of like was maybe told to me, but I didn't really believe it.
Yeah, but it's like it's such a new concept as well. Like, like we're saying, like people in our parents' age bracket, like they're not aware of calories, like they're
Right.
not really aware of diets or what foods are worth and stuff like that. So like I remember when I was working in gyms, I was there like, man, 14 hours a day. I was like training people or trying to find potential clients, or studying in the PT room. Like I was there a lot. And I would see people just come in looking the same. And you can tell by their body language, and they're following a program that they want to see change, but they're not seeing it. And like people, like it's like an old school mentality as well. That like, if you train, like it's all good. Like you can just eat whatever you want.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, but like it's just not the truth. Like, well, it is if you just want to be strong and you just want to enjoy training and just not really worry about body composition, that's fine.
Right.
But you can tell that they do want to see a change, because like in between sets, they're walking up in the mirror, they hold their singlet back so they can see their stomach, or like, they like flex their muscles and they're like checking it out. And you're like that they're concerned about it, but they're not really equipped with the knowledge of like how to change it.
Right.
But it's just, like that's why I'm so pro education. Like you just have to really understand that if you want to see it. But it's so hard to convince people, and that's why I don't spend time trying to convince people that don't want to be convinced. Because I did that on the gym floor when I was trying to when I was new to personal training. I was trying to engage with people and say, hey, blah, 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 like, do you want help with anything? And they'd say like, oh yeah, I'm trying to lose weight, blah, blah. And I'd be like, okay, like it's like, it's like this and this and this. And then they'll just like not want to hear it. But they so they wanted the result, but then they didn't want to like worry about how to do it. They just like want to talk about it, but not really do it.
Well, it's a whole self-discipline. It's like you tell them, this is what you do, and they're like, is there another way to do this? Because I don't like that one.
That doesn't sound that good, man.
That doesn't sound like the way that I want to do it. I'd rather do like a pill, or I'd rather do something that's quick and easy. Something that's gonna just get me there like that. And it's just away. It's not like that. And I think that's something that I think that's a lot of us. I did do the keto diet for a while. Like, I don't know how long I did it. I did it for a minute. And I saw, great results and stuff. And then I think I hit a plateau, and I was like, okay, eating all this fat or all this meat, whatever, it's not really doing as much as it used to. And God, do I miss carbs and whatnot. And, it's
that's
like,
the thing about the keto diet. Like coming out of it is so tricky. Coming out of it is like when I stopped, and I was like, first of all, feeling super deprived of carbohydrates. Like, cause when there's like you cannot eat it, you're like, I must eat it. like in the back of your head, it's like, I must. Yes. I will.
Yeah. Yes.
If it's the last thing I do, I will find a way. So like, as soon as you decide, like, and like I reached the plateau too. Cause like in keto, there's like this saying where it's like, just like eat fat to burn fat. Eat fat to burn fat. So that's all you're doing. You're eating cheese, you're eating nuts, you're like eating super fatty cuts of meat, like eggs, put all the yolk in and eat it and stuff. And you're I lost weight too. And I felt lean. My training was pretty average though. I didn't feel super energetic.
No, that's so true.
You found that as well?
Well, there was actually this point. So I've told you, I walk on stilts, and I did this event that it's just grueling. It's like a very physically demanding job. And there was like a point that, I'm doing this all without carbs. And we have actually a sports trainer or a physical trainer at work who's she knows that I'm working with her, and she's helping me with my fitness goals and whatnot. And she knows I'm on keto, and she's like, for this, you're going to have to start eating carbs, because there's no way that your body's going to your body needs these carbs to keep you going. And then one time I was like squatting down or whatever, and I just I kind of like passed out in a way because like I just didn't. I was going at such like a high speed and moving and everything, and just all I was working off of was zero, Gatorade Zero and maybe some peanut butter. I don't know. It's like
yeah,
that's
yeah, but like training like just falls through the roof, like in terms of
Yeah.
energy and even just like productivity levels throughout the day. Like I just felt like a bit of a zombie. Like there was no up. It was just like I'd wake up and there was just like a slow decline until I went to sleep. Like that's all it was. It wasn't like, oh, I feel good after eating and now I feel a bit tired. It was just like straight down. Like I didn't feel that great. But then afterwards, like after I hit a plateau, because I wasn't aware of calories, I was just like, eat fat, burn fat, eat fat to burn fat. So like, that's all I did. I'll just eat fat. And you have no awareness of like how many calories you're actually consuming. You're probably not even in a deficit. So that's why I wasn't losing body fat. So just eating all this fat, which is actually more calories than protein and carbs. So I'm just like eating it all. And then I just got frustrated. I had no energy. My training was average. I wasn't seeing results. And then I was just like, man, must eat carbs. And then that's where, you just kind of like go off the rails. Then you gain all the weight that you kind of like lost on the keto diet because you like, you just like take in all these carbohydrates and then you're like.
That's literally what happened.
Yeah. Yeah. That's literally what happened to me too. And my friend back in New Zealand told me that too. Like he's like, oh, I did keto. And I was like, how'd you go? He's like, oh, I lost 27 kg. And then I was like, oh, awesome, man. Are you still doing it? He's like, nah, man. Like, I just like wanted.
I'm now up. Yeah. Now I'm up 50 kg.
well, he kind of like came back up like 7 kilos, which sounds like nothing in the broad scheme of things. But like he did, like 7 kilos is still quite a lot. But it's just a real unsustainable thing to stick to. Like, and even just eating out with people, like. I understand you go out with your friends a lot eating and, you enjoy a drink every now and then and too, like, you can't really engage in that either.
No.
When you're in a keto diet.
No. I mean, I would go to, I don't know, what would I do? I forget. Like, I would go to like an Italian restaurant instead of getting pasta. I would get, just 4 meatballs, please. That's all I would get. And just put a shit ton of mozzarella on it.
Yeah. Which sounds pretty good, but like when you have it over and over and over again.
Yeah. It was like only so much. I really missed carbs. And I think that's another thing when I started eating carbs again, I felt guilty because, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to swell up and going to just, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I felt that too. And I did as well. Cause you just like overcompensate because you've missed it so much. You're like, I haven't had carbs in so long.
Yeah.
I just want to eat carbs. So you do swell up. Like it's body fat, but it's also water as well. You're holding more water. Like it's like, and that's where balance is hard after you go through things like that, because you're like, well, I looked good when I was all keto and now I'm like eating carbs. Like, how do I find this balance? Cause you're like swinging. You're like, should I go here or should I go here? And then you have to find this. Well, I feel guilty when I have rice, which is crazy. Or spaghetti or, something, but like you have to kind of slowly work on this relationship with food. And
absolutely.
And I think we're always working on it. Like we're always trying to improve and be like, okay, well, it's okay to eat carbohydrates. And once you get there, you have this great relationship and you can start to, eat food groups from everywhere. But it definitely doesn't happen overnight. I struggled with that for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm still struggling with a relationship with food and I think a lot of us, we feel like, damn, I had an extra piece of pizza. We'll either beat ourselves up about it and, we'll be like, okay, well now I have to go and run 15 miles tomorrow to just get that one piece of pizza off my body, but it's like, it's okay. It's okay that you had that piece of pizza, just get back onto the horse tomorrow. It's, it's okay, and I think, I just think a lot of people either who struggle with weight or diet, can deal with that. I mean, I've been dealing with it since I was a little kid, but, and I think that's I don't think that's something that I've actually ever told you, but, when I was like 7, I was diagnosed with this brain, disease, and I was a really, really, really skinny kid. But because of this brain thing that happened, they had to put me on steroids. Like basically my brain was swelling and they had to like calm down the swelling by putting me on steroids. And so they put me on steroids, and I like swelled up. Like
Swelled.
it looked like kind of abnormal. Got picked on a lot, and it was just like, and it was like upsetting to me because I was like, you guys don't. I'm not just like this because I ate like a certain way. I'm like this because of this condition, and then I got skinny again. And then when I was 9, it happened again. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. This is already a rare disease and I'm getting it twice. Like, so like, it was always like something that I had this like fat that was like a part of me that was like, I had no control over. So, I think that's just something that I think I maybe ever since I was that young, I've always felt like I was a prisoner of, and I was never able to like, I mean, I've definitely fluctuated with my weight, but like, I'm now at a good point where, I felt confident in my body but I think just growing up like that it's hard, you get like looks, I got looks and everything from all these kids. And, I try to always remember that, I try not to ever like poke fun at people for the way they look and whatnot, because you don't know their story or whatever.
100%.
But yeah, I think I mean, a lot of us relate so much to people with unhealthy relationships to food, because we always feel guilty that if we eat this, we're gonna bloat up and whatnot. Like I have a friend she's like the skinniest person ever, and I don't know if maybe she suffers from body dysmorphia, but I think I think she looks at herself and she thinks she looks like a whale, and it's like, I think I could see every bone in your body. I'm so sorry, but it's like, you could definitely have a couple burgers.
But that's the thing, like when you're in that situation, because I know as well, like I was at a time where, and this is the photo that I always post on Instagram, where it's like 2014, I'm like super skinny, my waist was 28 and it's now like 32. Right. So it was like really small. And I was like, at that point where you're like the leanest or skinniest that you've been, you almost feel the fattest. It's like crazy.
It's insane.
It's a crazy perception. Like from the outside, you're like, what the hell are you talking about? Like you are blind. Like, what are you looking at? And like, all you can see is like the smallest little, like, like little pinch. You're literally like forcing your skin out. You're like, look, I'm fat. Yeah. You're like pulling this. It's like, man, like everyone has that. Like, look at your cheeks, like you have that. Like everyone has that. It's like, I think that's the trick. And like to jump into the fitness industry, that's one thing that's like, it's almost like glorified with personal training, like competitions and like body comps and stuff, like, they have for the chicks, there's like bikini comps, and for the guys, there's like male physique comps and stuff, and the board shorts, and they're all lean, and like people are like, that's what I need to look like.
Right.
Like, and if you're not that, where they like literally starve themselves for 20 weeks and like train their nuts off, like if you're not that, you're a failure. It's like, man, that's not success, like
no.
If you know what it takes to get that lean, which, I've never stepped on stage, but I've been lean. And, like you said, like, your friend is like super lean, like you see what they eat and like, it's like, that doesn't feel like success sometimes, like that should not be the goal, to just like starve yourself. Like, cause like, if you want to achieve success, if that's success, it's very easy. You just don't eat and you just train hard. Like, that's it. That's like 1, 2, bang, done, that's it. But that's not success. Like there's so much more to that. It's like, how do you feel? How do you feel on a, on a like productivity basis? How strong are you? Like, how do you feel about yourself? Because often it's like the people that compete have like the worst relationships with themselves, because they're always comparing themselves to that person that's like at peak week and they're lean and you can see all their abs and stuff like that. And like now they, Like you can't maintain that for the rest of your life. Like it's literally unhealthy to be that lean. Like no one recommends it. Like there's a reason that as soon as they finish their competition, they start eating, because it's like, you are depriving yourself. You're in a state that's like emergency. You shouldn't be there. Like that is not the goal.
Yeah. I mean, you may look amazing and whatnot, but I mean, just don't keep it going forever.
No, but it's impossible. Man, I want to be aware of time because we're going to talk forever. I want to finish on well, first of all, I want to say I appreciate you sharing that stuff about when you were younger. I know that stuff's not easy to share.
No problem.
But just to wrap up the podcast, I'd like to ask a question. This is the Better with Brock podcast, about becoming better, you know, in any way, shape or form, you know, whether that's with your body, whether that's, you know, the mindset that you carry. But what's one thing that you do every day that makes you better?
I wouldn't say it's every day, but I would say it's pretty much kind of similar to what you do. We have kind of a gratitude journal. Just try to always be present and be grateful for at least one thing every day. It could honestly be anything.
Kiss the knees.
You know, whether your knees, you know, that your body can move, that you have, you know, a roof over your head, that you have blankets, that you have food, that you have a job, you know, especially, you know, I think that's another thing coming out of quarantine or coming out of this pandemic. You know, we still are in this pandemic, but this pandemic has like thrown our whole world into this crazy whirlwind. And, you know, a lot of us were unemployed and some are still unemployed, you know, and I can't imagine, you know, how that would be. And thankfully, you know, I had friends with me that were in this all together. And, you know, so I think just trying to always be grateful for at least one thing. And I'm trying to, you know, have more things, you know, be grateful for more than one thing a day, but, you know, just always, that's, I would say is one of the things to keep myself, staying better or whatnot.
Yeah. But I think that one thing is like where it all starts from, you know, like
it does.
One thing, it also unlocks other things. Because if you're like, well, you know, I'm grateful for, you know, having a roof over my head, then you're like, well, I'm grateful for the clothes on my body too. And then, I suppose I'm grateful I got a job, because, you know, some people don't have a job, and it kind of continues to compound like that.
Yeah. And I think that's another thing, is always try to keep myself in check when I either kind of come from a place of, what's the word? Not ungratitude. Something, I guess, ungratitude, where maybe I see myself acting a certain way. I'm like, no. Like, let's reel it back. You're not this person, you know, maybe you're just hungry or whatnot, you know, it's maybe you haven't had caffeine or you haven't had sleep or whatnot, but like, you know, just making sure that you remember, you know, where you came from, or you remember, you know, how you're raised and things like that. You just humble yourself, do things that humble yourself.
Yeah. And that's what gratitude does. It just kind of like brings you back to square one, where you're like, you know, like that's where, like we're saying at the start of the podcast, like that's where I think it can come from, like to start someone's transformational journey. Like they'll be like, oh man, like, you know, like sometimes it gives them like people always get started in the gym, or they start being proactive about their health, like when they get a health scare. Like I know that when my dad has had a sit down with the doctor and he's like, look man, like you got to start getting your shit sorted, then he's like, okay, like so then, like whether he admits it or not, or whether people that get a health scare admit it or not, they have this gratitude, like I'm alive, and like I'm healthy, I can work out, so I better start doing it. Like that's where it comes from. Like that's where action comes from, to like actually make change. And I think identifying that's important. And that's why I do the same thing. I wake up and I'm like, you know, I read this out, I read that out, I'm grateful for this and that. And then, like, you know, the rest of the day is like, well, now I have all this, like I suppose there's no excuse for me to go and do whatever I want, because like, absolutely, I've got everything I need, which a lot of people don't.
It's all a choice. I mean, you have to choose, you know, choose happiness, you know, you have to choose positivity, and it's not always easy. And I think about sometimes, you know, what you just brought up, we brought it up a couple, we had a live the other day, or it was, you know, a Zoom meeting, just kind of like, you know, when I wake up this early, it's like, it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to not push the snooze button, but like, you know, you get up and then you're just like moving, you know, and you just keep going in this momentum. And I've been practicing that too. And it's working. It's, you know, it's like, once you just get out of bed, you're on the go, and, you know,
it's
yeah, it's all good.
It's absolutely true, man. Hey, man, well, I appreciate your time, brother. And thank you so much for sharing everything, for, you know, sharing what you're going through, the tips, the tricks, the, you know, the stories. I appreciate it. It's an honor. It's an honor to be your coach, man. And it's been exciting to see, like, even knowing more about you now, like from where you've come from to what you've achieved from just us being, you know, in partnership and working together to where you are now. I'm excited to see where you continue to go as well, like with the growth of your mindset as well, you know, because stuff doesn't change instantly. It takes work.
No.
And it's awesome to see you have that mindset to continue to work on it as well. So
yeah,
man, it's been awesome to have you. And I'll
thanks for having me.
Nah, man, it's awesome to have you on board, man. And I'll see you in the next coaching call for sure, or in the Facebook call.
Oh yeah. All right.
All right, brother. Well, I'll talk to you soon, man. Awesome chat.
Definitely. Have a good day.
See you, bro. You too. Bye.
Bye.